Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us by the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, mentally worn police. Mentally worn police. And in the second watch, sugar, not so sweet after all. For our social media question, we ask, do you have any mental health advice for police investigators who have to repeatedly deal with gruesome crime scenes? I'll read that again. Do you have any mental health advice for police investigators who have to repeatedly deal with gruesome crime scenes? Share your responses on our Love 100 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your response later on the program, but first, as I quote.
The I quote for today: cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. And that's from William Shakespeare.
The valiant never taste of death but once. Okay. Literature teacher, Kareem. Good morning, sir. Would you like to just dissect this for us? Cowards die many times before their deaths.
Yeah, sure. Good morning to you too, Sir Marshall.
Each cowardly act is like a death?
Yes, fair.
I see.
Fear is killing yourself. You're killing yourself in the mind.
I see.
Before I can't drive. I'm so fearful of the road. You already kill yourself.
I shouldn't even laugh because what's going on in the road. Sometimes
some people genuinely can't drive.
You just don't want to be out there.
Trust me.
So be valiant.
Yes, just go for it.
All right, let's be valiant.
Well, with training, of course, if that's driving.
Well, speaking generally, let's be valiant.
Yes.
The first watch. We'll be back after this break.
This is a special announcement from Love 101 and Love Television. Our general offices will be closed to the public at 12 noon on Holy Thursday, March 28, 2024 through to Easter Monday, April 1, 2024, and will reopen on Tuesday, April 2 at 8:30 a.m. Programs and commercials for the period Thursday, March 28th through to Tuesday, April 2 should be submitted by 9 a.m. on Wednesday, March 27, 2024, and obituaries and notices by 10 a.m. on the same day to ensure scheduling for broadcast. Love 101 and Love Television wish for you and yours a holy and peaceful Easter weekend.
8884 Gaspo. That's the only number you need to know. 8884 Gaspo. Safety first, that's for sure. So when you're ready to light, day or night, the blue flame burns bright. So when you time you need cooking gas, call Gaspo and you get it fast. 8884 Gaspo. Get attached to the one you know. Gaspo, gas professionals.
It's the Answers and Simplicity store-wide sale, up to 70% off in every store from now till Saturday, April 6th. Get up to 70% off from Answers Gifts and Home Center, Answers for Children and Simplicity, Answers and Simplicity store-wide sale.
New Dawn Outreach Ministries International presents Praise Pondy Harbor, Easter Monday, April 1, with prizes, music, and dinner, and good parking included. Adults 6,000, children 8 years and up 4,000, babies free. Tickets at Music Mart or Source of Light Bookstore. Call 876-871-1810 or 496-0436. Praise Pondy Harbor, 3 to 5 Port Royal Street, beside the Kingston Craft Market. Easter Monday, April 1. Doors open 2 p.m. Sale time 3 p.m.
Seniors, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is advising that the March 2024 payment under the Social Pension Program is now ready for collection. Check your text messages to confirm your payment arrangements. For further information, call 876-922-8007 or check the Ministry's website, www.mlss.gov.jm. The Social Pension Program, caring for our elderly. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Ooh la la. I see what I want at Phosphate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. Visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Come get your wires, breakers, chandeliers, flood lamps, LED bulbs, and so much more. You can't afford to miss it. Come shop. Come save at Phosphate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. See you there at Phosphate. Open Sundays.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch now. There has been repeated exposure to gruesome crime scenes and stomach churning. Stomach churning autopsies are said to be taking a mental toll on some police investigators. And many of these persons are suffering in silence, in secret. Some are fearful. And this will arguably have a detrimental impact on them, according to some studies. And let's try to get a better understanding as to what is this troubling issue affecting some police officers, police investigators. What are they afraid of, if anything? Are they afraid of anything, first of all? And if they're afraid of anything, what is it? What are the other concerns and conditions that can contribute to their mental, state? How can they be efficient in their jobs then? Can they, with such continuous and perpetual exposure to gruesome crime scenes? And what are the lasting effects? Well, we have as our guest today to help to examine this and understand this, Jehan White, internationally registered counseling psychologist and associate clinical psychologist with Tea House Therapy. We also have security consultant Robert Finzi Smith. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you both. Now, first of all, I would wish to start with you, Jehan White, but I'm going to start with the security consultant firstly. Mr. Finzi Smith, from an operational standpoint, I don't know if you can shed any light as to typical police officer, could even apply to a security officer. They get a call to go to a scene because of some shooting and whatever the scene is. It could be something domestic. And when they get there, they're seeing bodies lying on the floor, on the ground, and they see a very unpleasant scene. But they're seeing this almost weekly, maybe even almost daily. And you get another call, you go back to another scene, and you know already what you're going to expect. So maybe, begin to sort of, okay, what am I going to be seeing now? You see more of it and more and more and more. Any comments, Mr. Finzi Smith?
First and foremost, you have to understand that it is now contributory to a level of dehumanizing of the officer. In order to get up and go to work the next morning, and it's not just seeing the results of mayhem, you now have to chronicle it. You have to write it up, and you have to write it up in the proper sequence. And then you have to do follow-up investigations, and you have to deal with grieving relatives. And if you don't allow, if you allow it to enter your psyche, you probably wouldn't be able to perform adequately, if at all. Think in terms of finding a scene where somebody has beheaded the person or severed limbs. There's the other side of it where you have people who have damaged or hurt children. It is something that you either have to steel yourself for, which now makes you appear a little less than human, or just say, this is not for me. And I don't think, the first question I'd like to ask is, do we have I know you have force chaplains and this type of thing, but do you have a clinical psychologist assigned to the police force that officers can request to see?
They have psychiatrists attached to the Jamaica Constabulary Force. I'm aware of that.
The question now is, how often are they utilized?
My understanding is that they're pretty well utilized, I don't know if they have enough of them. That could be a challenge, but I don't know. But I know that they have psychiatrists attached to the JCF and they're quite busy.
Well, let me just leave you with this.
Yes.
If I get cold enough to the realities of what I face every day, killing someone doesn't have the same impact on me that it should. It's just another day at the office.
Understood. Let's bring in Jehan White. Jehan White.
Good morning.
Good morning again. The psychological impact of having to deal with gruesome crime scenes on an almost daily basis. The effect on the police officer, whether male or female, whether they've been in the force for a long time or whether they're recently they recently became a part of the force, regardless of the stage at which they are in their careers. Any thoughts, Jehan White?
Absolutely. Similar to what Major Finzi Smith said, is that after a while, it will absolutely affect you psychologically. And if you do not steel yourself to it, then it's going to impact you long term. Now, while there are many psychiatrists and psychologists that are probably available to the JCF, the reality is that many of them are not necessarily utilized or mandated the way they should be because there's still ridicule around seeking that.
Jehan White, I think. Because you're still with us. Good. We almost lost you. You're a bit low, by the way. Your volume is not very high, but that as it may, we had almost lost you. But continue. Let's try. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll turn it up a bit. Let me know. Yes. So the thing to be really aware of is that as human beings, when you have, for instance, first responders and those who deal with really very gruesome and almost cruel scenes on a daily basis, they can experience what's called vicarious trauma. And vicarious trauma, by definition, is considered experiencing a crisis secondhand. And so first responders are especially susceptible to this kind of trauma. And there's been studies done internationally and worldwide about the effect of it and how much it can really cause first responders long-term damage, not just personally, but also in their personal lives, socially, mental health issues, etc. And so this information does not surprise me. But what really concerns me is that we have not mandated and insured to care for the mental wellness of our first responders, and there's still somehow judgment when they seek that assistance.
Hold
So as
that
much
thought,
as
Jan
there's a
White. Hold that thought, Jan White, because we're already upon a break, but I didn't want to cut your sentence, right in the middle of it. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Aculab Diagnostics Limited, located at ATL Plaza in Montego Bay, for all your blood testing needs. Open every day, including Sundays, 6132714.
The time by Aculab Diagnostics Limited is
7:15 a.m.
Remember every dream where you have, remember everything where you plan. With J and Bang, anything possible. With a little savings in your hand. Save so you can build the house, buy the land. You have goals and dreams, make a plan. Save so you can.
Living your best life and making memories is priceless. But saving little by little is what makes it affordable. Stop wishing you could. With your Jan Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jan Bank will help you find a way.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Hello? Yes, dear. But just a call for tell him to get the thing.
Nothing says Happy Easter like an Alliance MoneyGram money transfer.
And we get something sweet with it.
Pick up your Alliance MoneyGram money transfer of US $150 or more from March 18 to March 28th and get an Easter bun and cheese while stocks last at select locations.
Happy Easter to you too.
Remember, head to the sweetest location to pick up your MoneyGram money transfer this Easter.
Alliance!
A member of the Sagicor Group.
For more Rhythm and Parade on Friday, April 26, 2024 at 7 p.m. featuring Rhoda Isabella, Rhonda Positive, John Mark Wigan, Audio Spencer Brown, Minister B. Brown, and Consage, MC Dexter Johnson at the Portmore Church of God, Edgewater, Portmore. Admission 3,000 pre-sold and 3,500 at the gate. Children under 12, 1,500. For ticket information, please contact 988-1857 or visit boropen.com/Rhythm Praise. Sponsored by Crosslinks Productions, P&S Events and Vacations, Jamaica Youth for Christ, and Love 101.
Ooh la la. I see what I want at Fast Rate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. Visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Come get your wires, breakers, chandeliers, flood lamps, LED bulbs, and so much more. You can't afford to miss it. Come shop. Come save at Fast Rate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. See you there at Fast Rate. Open Sundays.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
Save so you can make the par, travel far, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jan Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jan Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch having a very important discussion. We're talking about a topic, mentally worn police. Mentally worn police. Our guests are Jan White, internationally registered counseling psychologist, associate clinical psychologist with Tea House Therapy, and Robert Finzi-Smith, security consultant. Jan White, would you like to please continue your thought? You are indicating to us, you know, the challenges with mental health in relation to persons who are in the security forces who have to deal with gruesome crime scenes on a continuous basis, and whether they are availing themselves of the assistance that, for example, the JCF provides. Continue, Jan White.
Thank you. The thing that I do want to just mention is that it is natural for something as gruesome as what the police officers face for it to affect them. As human beings, we are not necessarily designed to see this level of pain. And on top of it, just like Major had said before, they then have to investigate it. They have to speak to the victims. They have to speak to the loved ones. And it's incredibly painful to watch, to speak about severed limbs and such cruelty, and then have to continue with loving your children, loving your parents, going about your daily activities, and it not affect you. So it is really paramount that there is a change in the culture of the police force in which assessing services to help with mental health becomes part and parcel with the job. It's necessary in order to protect those who
When you say
choose
changing
the
the
life
culture, what
of
exactly
serve.
do you mean?
I mean changing the culture. So I'm talking about the fact that there is still such a stigma when those in that particular community decide to seek services and seek help. Because
Well,
there's still a
I,
belief
I'm
system.
not saying that there is or isn't such a culture in the JCF, but you are saying with certainty that there is that culture in the JCF, or is it a
Yes.
presumption that you're making?
It is, with my work that I've done with members of the community, yes.
Oh,
I can say relatively confidently that there's still quite a bit of stigma when they seek services for themselves.
I see. And isn't this probably just a reflection of the general society? It may not necessarily be particular to the JCF, but I think generally speaking, um, maybe anecdotally, it would appear as if one has a mental health issue, it's not something you walk up and down and talk about. So to that
And
extent, there might be some stigma in the general population.
absolutely. I definitely think that it is an example of the larger population, but I do think it's particularly magnified within the police force. And one of the reasons is because it is within the police force, and this is not a judgment to the community, there is still a belief system that the not seeking help and being quote unquote strong enough and that seen as strength, that it is more celebrated to be able to manage, and I use quotation marks, and not need those kinds of services. And so again, let me be really clear, this is not a judgment on the police force at all, but it is something I think that needs to be looked at and examined and really reconsidered, because it is no longer, it's not effective for long-term
Interesting.
care.
Interesting. Robert Finzi Smith.
There's another angle that most people don't seem to have considered. You, as a police officer seeking assistance in that regard, is actually canon fodder for defense attorneys. You sure you're in your right mind? Are you certain that what you saw has not given you subliminal suggestions as what could have happened as against what really happened?
Yes.
How many of these cases have you done? In order to maintain an equilibrium, have you just lumped them all into one bracket? And you're not looking at the particulars of the case where my client is regarded?
Yes.
All of this. So, as the good doctor said, it's a badge of honor to be able to walk into certain crime scene and not only walk away unscathed, but show a level of callousness that is
Yes.
amazing. I've seen people sit down waiting for the forensic people to arrive at a particularly gruesome crime scene. So, somebody don't eat some morning, somebody bring a box food for them. And they'll sit down there and eat it. There are others who will never eat meat again.
Understood. And as a defense attorney myself, I understand what you're saying, Mr. Finzi Smith, because attorneys will try to find anything within the law that they can use to cross-examine a police officer. So it is a relevant concern that you have raised there, Mr. Finzi Smith. And I say this with the greatest of respect to both police officers as well as counsel, or counsel. Now, one of the concerns, however, Mr. Finsey Smith and Mr. Jan White can weigh in here. One of the concerns, sir, is that if you show too much emotion, as some people will say, I know that I'm not using emotion in the clinical sense in terms of a definition, but if you appear to show too much emotion, as most people tend to understand that term, you might run the risk of becoming a little bit emotionally involved in what you're doing. And so maybe what some police officers might be inclined to do is find other outlets. So that one of them can be the rum bar. One of them can be some other, well, I don't want to say addiction, but some activity that they engage in which provides a release. And some police officers may find healthy ways, in terms of finding a release. Some of them might be members of churches and they engage in a lot of ministry work, or they maybe they're engaged in exercise, and so they're always jogging, running, whatever the activity is. Mr. Finsey Smith, any thoughts? Because maybe what some police officers do, they find another outlet rather than deal with the pain that they're seeing at the moment. Any thoughts?
Yeah, what you have just described is the most prevalent clinical psychologist in the force. It's Jerry and his nephew. So you find that alcohol or substance abuse has crept in and assigned themselves the space that a clinical psychologist normally would occupy.
Yes.
You see, there's this thing about being considered a mama, man. You're soft. It's not for you. Which means that invariably the officer, in order to live with themselves, adopts a persona that is alien to who they really are. You find that jokes that are off color or unfortunate in its genesis. I can give you an example. Any rape victim that has gone into police has fear in their mind of either being ridiculed or asked unfortunate questions. What you have on? How was it being worn? You sure you never said something to him that would trigger him? In other words, the victim is now asked to absorb the blame. So they get victimized twice.
Yeah.
Now, this seems very, callous, but look at it from a police officer's point of view. They would rather not go through the in-depth situation where that's concerned. So they try to find every avenue not to have to write that report the way it actually is.
Understood.
Then you have those who have daughters
Mm-hmm.
and immediately start to feel, damn, this could have been my child, which now swings the pendulum far in the other side of the coin, because they go looking for someone to put this on, not necessarily the one who did it.
Yes.
And I straying outside my level of qualification, but you will find that people have a section of their psyche that they wall off in order to maintain stability. They wall that off. So them don't deal with it at all.
Yes. Mr. Finsey Smith, only because of time I want to bring in Jan White at this time. Jan White, we have a couple of seconds left. Any words you want to leave with us? And we know that although Mr. Finsey Smith made reference to males in the police force in terms of this topic, we know that we all know that both men and women are engaged in this kind of police work, and we'll see these gruesome signs, crime scenes, as the case may be. Any final words you want to leave with us?
The only thing I really want to leave with you guys is that at the end of the day, this is the kind of work that they engage in. So they're going to see the most gruesome of things. And so as what I would really hope is that one day there can be a culture of resilience that's built into the community, in which it's not just a matter of seeking out clinical support or seeking out psychological support when you've seen the worst of the worst or it's gone off the rails, but it's built in where you often, just like you said, have healthy coping strategies, not J. Ray and his nephew necessarily as the first choice, but you are encouraged and supported to seek healthier coping strategies from the beginning of your career. And as a result of that, you are able to be better equipped to manage the pain that they're going to encounter in that line of work.
Jan White, Robert Finley Smith, thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts in this first watch. It's a very important topic, and we're happy that you weighed in this morning. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back with the morning watch.
Bank anything possible with a little savings in your hand. Save your
The time by Jen Bank is
7:31 a.m.
In life, the more you have to lose.
The more you love, the more you worry. The more you own, the less you sleep.
The more people rely on you, the more you have on your mind.
I have peace of mind,
Knowing that whatever I own,
and whoever I care about are covered by the very best.
With Sagicor Life and Advantage General, get life, health, and general insurance to help you protect what matters most.
Your honeymoon picture them look good, Nikki. Look how you and Jason sprawl off in the hotel room like on the yard.
And that with their tick out, mommy. Buying our own home. But it's not so easy.
May we help?
How?
NHT have something called Parent Assist. It allows parents like me who never use them benefit to get a loan for help them picnic. But don't have my house already. At your time now.
Oh,
Anytime.
thank you.
Find out about NHT's various home buyer loans to help you home it. Visit any NHT branch. We want to get you closer to home.
Mommy, what are you sneaking and eating?
You catch me.
That's not the mother's Easter bun you promised me, is it?
No. Well, yes. Well, I was preparing it for you for tomorrow. And a little drop off.
You call them 2 slice liquor, Mommy?
You catch me. Shouldn't you be asleep?
With all the noise, Mommy, I need some mother's Easter bun before I go back to bed.
Winner of the 2023 King of Buns Easter Bun Contest. Mother's Easter Bun is baked to perfection.
A sub bun for nice. Can I get another slice?
Mother's Easter Bun. Grab one before them done.
More
deliciousness from Mother's Bakery.
Every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. on Love 101. You're invited to listen to the Revival of Truth with Bishop Augustine Odie. There is life beyond the surface, life that is divine, life that is eternal, and you can hear the truth of God's word and go deeper in purpose. Revival of Truth with Bishop Augustine Odie, Sundays 2:30 to 3 p.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Ooh la la. I see what I want at Fast Rate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. Visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Come get your wires, breakers, chandeliers, flood lamps, LED bulbs, and so much more. You can't afford to miss it. Come shop. Come save at Fast Rate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. See you there at Fast Rate. Open Sundays.
Music is a gift from God, and there's no better way to praise Him than through gospel music. JCDC is now accepting entries for the 2024 Jamaica Gospel Star Competition. Singers and gospel lovers, send in your entries. Over $1 million in cash and prizes to be won. Deadline March 31. Only online entries will be accepted at jcdc.gov.gm/online-forms. Remember, Gospel Star is not an original song competition, so choose your favorite song and enter today.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we look at Loop Jamaica News online. Loaded container snaps loose from trailer on Marcus Garvey Drive. It was perhaps sheer luck that there was not a major catastrophe on Marcus Garvey Drive in Kingston on Wednesday. On Wednesday, when a loaded container snapped from a trailer truck on the normally busy 6-lane roadway. And we turn now to the Gleaner. Cargo ship had engine maintenance in port before it collided with Baltimore Bridge, officials say. And also in the Gleaner, Prime Minister urges increased public sector productivity. We turn now to the Daily Observer. Senate showdown. Bunting's attempt to finish section of Mark Golding budget speech draws fire. And Civil Aviation Authority flies high despite COVID-19, and more of that story on page 3 of the Daily Observer. And also in the Daily Observer, JCF's Area 1 Lords Women Cops. That story at page 4 of the Daily Observer, written by Anthony Lewis. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read for some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, do you have any mental health advice for police investigators who have to repeatedly deal with gruesome crime scenes? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
This is a special announcement from Love 101 and Love Television. Our general offices will be closed to the public at 12 noon on Holy Thursday, March 28, 2024, through to Easter Monday, April 1, 2024, and will reopen on Tuesday, April 2 at 8:30 a.m. Programs and commercials for the period Thursday, March 28 through to Tuesday, April 2 should be submitted by 9 a.m. on Wednesday, March 27, 2024, and obituaries and notices by 10 a.m. on the same day to ensure scheduling for broadcast. Love 101 and Love Television wish for you and yours a holy and peaceful Easter weekend.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at how you have responded to the social media question. Do you have any mental health advice for police investigators who have to repeatedly deal with gruesome crime scenes? Kareem, I gather that there are about 2 voice notes.
Yes, sir. Okay, this one is from Cherry in Spanish Town, and yeah, let's play this one.
Morning, Watch. Mr. Stokeley and all the wonderful staff of Love 101. When it comes to a job like these, the training is one, but when the reality it's always a different feeling. And if you're doing a job like this and it is affecting your mental health, I believe you should get out and get the help that you need. Don't look on the stigma and what others will think, because in the long run, you are the one that will be affected. So get the help you needed. If you can't manage it, get out and get that help you needed, because you are the one who will face that detriment later days to come. Thank you.
Okay, and then this other one is from Edna, who is in Montego Bay.
Good morning, Morning Watch. Good morning, Love 101 listeners and staff. My advice to police officers who have to witness these gruesome crime scenes is to focus. Focus on the Word of God. Find time to meditate upon the Word of God. Our mental state is not even much in our hands as though it is in the hands of God, because He's the one who created us. He said in Isaiah 26, verse 3, He will keep them in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on Him. So focus on the Word of God. Make sure you have a relationship with Him. Seek a friend before you need one. Have close friend that you can talk to. Friend that can give you good advice, can steer you in the right direction. That's my take.
Thank you, Kareem. I was going to add something, but I believe Edna covered most of what I would have said. I wanted to underline the need for spiritual
grounding,
support.
yeah,
Yes,
for sure.
because you're not only dealing with the physical issues there in terms of the crime scene, etc., but some of the persons who committed some of these murders, some of them are in some very dark spiritual places.
Yeah, and they leave a lot of stuff on the scene.
And you are going into this place, you
Picking it
have
up.
to be completely covered all the time. And
Yes.
I suppose the JCF is not a spiritual organization, but they do have chaplains, and a lot of Christians are in the JCF. Well, we are going to change gears at this time. We're looking at health in the physical sense. There are at least 45 good reasons to cut back on added sugar, according to a new study including diabetes, gout, obesity, high blood pressure, heart attack, stroke, cancer, asthma, tooth decay, depression, and early death. Actually consuming less sugar, though it is not as easily done, can be done. And with the determination, with realizing that you must cut back, you can cut back. Many persons have indicated, I'm so, wedded, tied to having this particular thing. But if the doctor sometimes says you have to give this up or else, suddenly many persons do give it up. Well, we have as our guest today, research assistant at the Caribbean Institute for Health Research and a nutritionist, Mrs. Annalie Gray Brown. We also have the president of the Jamaica Association of Principals and Vice Principals, Mr. Lindburn Wright. Mr. Wright, Mrs. Gray Brown, good morning.
Good morning, Stokeley. Morning, Mr. Wright.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Now, I think I'm going to start with you, Mrs. Gray Brown. What is this business of consuming too much sugar? Should we even be consuming sugar? Should we go back to the days when, after all, sugar is what led to many of our ancestors being in this part of the world, isn't it?
Yes.
Why not go back? Why not go back to honey or, not all this refined sugar? Anyway, the reference to chattel slave in the Caribbean is not the topic of this discussion today. but should we even be having sugar in the first place, Mrs. Gray Brown?
No. And I'm happy that I'm on a Christian station because we can easily speak about God as the reference. So He didn't make sugar in that way. He made fruits. He made cereals and staples and grains. And even when we eat a lot of those foods, they break down at some level into sugar. But when we as human beings got very creative and we took fruits and we made them into syrups and juices and smoothies and what we're now calling the table sugar, the refined sugars, it overloads the body, it overloads the liver. So really and truly,
overloads the body and overloads the liver, Mrs. Gray Brown. Only because of time, hold that thought.
Yes.
Mr. Lindburn Wright, any opening comment you'd like to make before we head to the break?
Just to say, I totally agree with this notion of sugar. I think really so many of us we over consume sugar. Well, as she's saying, it shouldn't really be consumed. There are many people I know who have made resolutions about not having sugar
Should we
more.
stop consuming sugar, Mr. Right?
Yes.
Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Follow the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development on Instagram and X at LocalGovJA. The time by the ministry is
7:45 a.m.
Shake and go with true shake. Shake and go. Grab a true shake and go. When me have to put in the work, but I'm moving slow. Grab a true shake and go. School time and on job time, have to study hard, brain full time. Grab a true shake and go. When we up in the gym, we have to stay healthy and fit. Grab a true shake and go. Shake and go with true shake. Packed with 9 grams of protein, 24 key vitamins and minerals to keep you going. Grab a true shake and go.
Did you know that many of my schoolmates have an unhealthy diet, especially at school? And now 23% of them are overweight and or obese? And so one less sugary drink at my school may mean one friend less,
or 2 or 3,
at risk of cavities or diabetes. And if we're served less foods high in saturated fats, sugar, and sodium, it may reduce our risk from obesity, heart disease, and high blood pressure.
The solution is simple, right? Act now.
Let's get unhealthy foods and beverages out of our schools.
A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
Home is where you put down your roots. So at Sagicor Bank, we designed a mortgage with everything you need to own your home easier. Get up to 100% financing, fast processing time, up to $100,000 cash back to assist with expenses, a competitive interest rate, plus an unsecured loan of up to $2 million to go solar at home, and a special rate on home insurance. Let's help you put down your roots. Call 888 Sagicor to apply for your Sagicor Bank mortgage. Conditions apply.
Chances are you're sitting in your car right now, or even a taxi, and you're stuck in traffic. But if you had a Flow prepaid plan, you would have unlimited data for navigation apps, so you could avoid much of the traffic and find a better way. So you would avoid bad driving Bobby to your right, who is boring into your lane, and singing Sasha, who doesn't realize everyone can see her. Now, Flow's unlimited social and talk prepaid plans come with unlimited data for navigation apps and more TikTok data than any use data. Get a 7-day Flow prepaid plan for only $950. Get your plan. Download the Top Up Flow app. Conditions apply.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. The everything where you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed and a Bashco. Bashco. Store that gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, bed linen, everything for your kitchen, rugs, mugs, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Seeking transformation and empowerment, yearning for more of Christ, longing for full freedom in Him. Join us at the Caribbean Transformation Conference, April 12 to 14, West Philadelphia Chapel. Embark on a 3-day journey of empowerment and freedom. Take your tribe of 10 to enjoy a discount. Prepare to be inspired by Steve Goss from England, Seth Brothers from the USA, and Claudette Bennett from Jamaica. Secure your spot now at freedomchrist.org or call 876-826-9297. Experience a life-changing encounter you've been craving. Don't you miss it!
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and the topic is sugar, not so sweet after all. Our guests are Annalie Gray Brown. She's a research assistant at the Caribbean Institute for Health Research and a nutritionist, and Mr. Lynn Vern Wright, president of the Jamaica Association of Principals and Vice Principals. And just before the break, we were looking at the whole matter of whether we should even consume sugar. I will now ask, but we have a lot of sugar in our lives. We have almost been, I don't want to say, well, put it this way, sugar is a part of our culture. It's been on our tables from time immemorial or before time immemorial. Some would argue, but I would say not from before time immemorial. But Mrs. Gray Brown, sugar is such a part of our culture. How can one break free from sugar addiction?
So with any addiction, it's just the first recognize that you actually have one. So for example, just give yourself a challenge. Ask yourself, can I at least for 3 days have no form of added sugar at all? Because the fact is, we do have sugar naturally in fruits, in some vegetables, and so on. Even sometimes we can't taste it, but it's there in some breads, in some even sauces. Like it's there even in ketchup. So if you give yourself a challenge, how about I have no added sugar just for 3 days, and see
Yeah.
how you do. So, for example, suppose you like to have something sweet at the end of a meal. Maybe have a sweet fruit, like maybe an apple, piece of a mango, half of a banana, and see how you do. And if you're finding that you're really struggling, like you're not doing well, start with maybe diluting a beverage. So if you normally have a regular strength drink, maybe you buy a drink or something, you have it for lunch. One thing somebody can consider doing is maybe just having half and topping up the other half with water, which means you're still getting a sweet taste, but not as sweet. And what you can do is over time, over the period of a week or two, gradually add a little bit more water until it's not so enjoyable. But what that means is we can't be at the same time. We're still having lots of additional sweet things. If you're having, say, chocolate, which is going to be naturally sweet, but you're still trying to dilute the beverages, your mind is still going to be thinking about the chocolate that you just had. So
Yeah.
it's to give your body a fighting chance because our bodies, it likes the sweet taste. So we can't be giving it what it wants if we're trying to dwindle it down. It's about, while it's not healthy at all, if we want to reduce it, give your body a chance by first showing yourself that you're really addicted and then finding ways to gradually reduce the amount, whether in foods or in beverages. Because beverages are actually the main way that a lot of us get sugar, and that one is directly linked to weight gain and to increased risk of diabetes. So even the other you just heard now from the Heart Foundation, that was perfect. Literally, one less sugar drink per day can mean in the long term somebody doesn't end up with diabetes.
Yes, because they are consuming these drinks with a lot of sugar over time. It does accumulate. Mr. Linvern Wright,
Yes,
in
sir.
your capacity as president of the Jamaica Association of Principals and Vice Principals, any thoughts you'd like to leave with us? Because a lot of children in schools, they consume a lot of sugar, which you find in drinks, snacks, and other things. And in the circumstances, you know, what is happening to children today, especially because some children today are not as physically active as children in past years, what with the advent of so many phones and games that you can have in your hands and use. Some children are not as active, so they're not, as it were, exercising as much, but they are consuming a lot of sugar. Mr. Wright?
Yeah, well, that's a part of it, but a big part of it too is what is available and what is affordable.
There's a bit of an echo, Mr. Wright, and you sound like you're very far away. I'm not too sure what can be
Are
done
you
to
hearing me much better now?
a little bit.
Right, I'm not sure what's happening. Yeah, as I'm saying, it's what's available for many of them. I think that what's happening in terms of the marketing, in terms of what is available for the schools, it's the sweet things, it's a bun, it's all of those things. I think we have to take it from that standpoint where we try to get to many of the manufacturers to reduce the sugars they have in all of these foods. One of the other challenges we have at school, really, you maybe to make this good, is that when the schools do something like a water day or you try to sell fruit, then there are the vendors who will just sell what they have and this is what the children want and then they'll just have their thing. But I think our work as principals and schools is really about trying to educate them because there are many children I know who once they understand the harms that these things can do to them, many of them try to reduce what is happening once they can afford.
Understood. And education, do you think it requires some amount of regulation, Mr. Wright, or only education? I mean, I'm not saying you need to pick a side, but what are your thoughts in that regard?
No, well, certainly I think that if it is that we're looking at a healthy society, I think there needs to be serious look at regulations because I don't think persons who are doing these things for profit are going to be doing these things if they're making money off selling things that are sweet and it's cheaper to manufacture. Profit is what their motive is. I think the work of the government, the work of all of us is to advocate for the kind of regulation that is going to redound to a healthier society. Because what I hear in terms of what may happen to many of these children as they get older in terms of the stress on our health system is something I think we need to look at.
And just for their own personal, situation, it's not nice when you see someone who could be healthy or healthier struggling with a health challenge because of lifestyle diseases that could have been prevented if they had just changed the way they, for example, ate.
Yes, I totally agree with that, but I'm also saying that for the gullible, it's not even just vulnerable, for the gullible, for the persons who don't have it, and for children who are going to be attracted to sweets, because all of us kind of had that time in our lives. I really believe that our marketing companies and our food companies are exploiting those things, and we don't talk about that enough.
But what if they don't want to engage? Then let's call a spade a spade. Some entities which are quite wealthy in terms of resources, they can launch ads encouraging people to purchase their products, etc. And they might, to some extent, resist over regulation or regulation that might hurt their business. So what do you do regardless of that? Because at the end of the day, each individual has to give an account for how they treat with their own body. Mr. Wright?
No, I totally agree with that. And where I was going, I'm saying, all right, let's look, for example, at cigarette smoking. We have banned cigarette smoking, we have banned advertisements for those things, right? The fact is that what I have read, and our nutritionists can tell us is that sugary foods and fatty foods cause more deaths than cigarettes worldwide. But we have banned that. We have not done that to the sugary foods, maybe because these things are less obvious in people's heads. But it's getting on us, and I agree with you, right? All right, when you really pose a question, that really where we need to go is regulation, and we have to confront these people no matter how much money they have, because in the end, our taxes are going to have to be used to deal with health problems. They're going to have to be used to deal with all of these issues. And if it is that we don't do something about it, it's going to overtake all of us.
Well, Mrs. Gray Brown, in the few moments that we have left, how can someone transition to eating less sugar? You gave some hints earlier on.
Yes.
And what final words do you want to leave with us? Because at the end of the day, when this program is completed, it doesn't mean that the landscape would have changed.
No.
But what nuggets can you leave with us this morning before we close?
The more I think about it, I was listening to Mr. and I'm thinking, what a good advocate, man. It's like David and Goliath. Each of us is the David. And in every industry, the goal is to make money. And so it's marketers' job to make money. Maybe even some of us may have a friend or a cousin who works in the food industry. So it's not that the food industry having a business is a problem, but we as the advocates, we need to say, listen, Goliath, we need healthy foods. So I think part of it has to be the children, us the people are recognizing that we're not getting enough healthy options. We need to say, don't you care about us? We need to say, we don't only want a sweet strawberry milk. We want an unsweetened strawberry milk. We need to say, yes, we enjoy your ice cream and your chocolate and your sweet drink, but don't just tack vitamin C on a juice drink and then put it in our schools and make our children think it's healthy. Because part of it is that many times we don't even feel like we have a voice. We feel like, oh, we have no choice but to buy the product. And the reality is it sometimes feels that way. But part of it is, well, is it that more of us need to have healthier businesses then? Maybe more of us need to get into the space, meet with the Scientific Research Council, meet with the various agencies, meet with the nutritionists and the dietitians, come up with healthy products and compete against these big industries. And then when they see that there are more healthy products on the market, maybe then they'll want to get in on it and cash on it too. But the fact is, we need to advocate that we want healthier foods, because the reality is that they're making money at our expense. And again, I'm not against the food industry. I used to work in the food industry, but what we need literally is treat us like people who have value. They themselves have children. They themselves want food. And I remember a particular marketing manager said, "Oh, I don't eat this product." And it wasn't very sweet. And at the moment, I was so shocked. But it's simply because he's saying, no, for me, that's not a part of my diet. And I'm saying, if you're thinking it's not good for you, then do what you need to do. Work with your partners and the shipping agencies, all the people that need to come together to make the healthier product available locally. So for us, we can choose to buy less of the unhealthy products, and we can get involved in creating healthier products both at home and maybe having our own businesses. That's what I think the solution is.
Have to leave it
Right?
there this morning, Mrs. Gray Brown and Mr. Wright. Very interesting conversation, but we are completely out of time. Thank you, Mrs. Gray Brown and Mr. Wright, for your time and for your thoughts. And thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again next week as we look at other topical and controversial issues, and visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and the Facebook page, and now TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, the family station Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. Join Reverend Dr. Dallin Toussaint next week as he looks at other topical and controversial issues. And I am Stokeley Marshall, handing back Love in the Morning with Kareem.